Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. So we're taking a dive into the community pool, the Oracle pool, and a few other things. And I'm trying to break things down a bit more simple for people so we can try to better understand the process as to how a validator really should compose themselves on chain. And the reason why I'm going to be breaking this down is because we're in a situation where everything is consistently moving down, and the only way to root out the cause of that downtrend is to actually start at the bottom and work all the way upwards like a funnel. Start with those core issues. So like I said, we're going to be diving into this, and this is just my opinion. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be putting these drawings over on my Patreon for people to check out. So if you fancy checking those out after the video, feel free to head over there. They will be over there for you to check out. Now, with this all being said, it's my opinion and it's from my point of view. I have thrown some facts in there that are quite important and quite crucial to what I am getting at. But like I said, I'm trying to put this into a more simple approach for people to try better understand the process of things. So to do this, we do need to go through a few things. So 173 billion LUNC does remain in our Oracle pool. That pool is a lifeline of this chain. Consider it the bank of this chain. Just like any business, just like any person in the world, if you have no money in your bank, you're kaput. So it gives validators also a reason to validate on this blockchain, because this is where their rewards come from. So imagine the rewards dry up or they become so low that there's no point in a validator providing the infrastructure to run the service. The resources cost that's put towards operating such a node isn't free for anybody, as much as they may claim that it is. We all have running costs, infrastructure costs. In order for us to come to the chain to operate, it has to be profitable for these people. That's just the way the simple business model works of this chain. So with all that being said, it's clear to everybody right now that the draining of the Oracle pool, it should be utilized in a manner that is used for development. And the reason why I'm saying this is because once it's gone, and we're actually very fortunate that we do have this much in this pool, because it would be a lot worse. The chain probably wouldn't exist at this point if it wasn't for this pool. So just know, if this pool gets to a point where it's not worth a validator validating, and that can simply happen by the price being crushed and crushed again. So as you can see here, I've got some diagrams. So what we've got here is the Oracle rewards pool. We're looking at 4 validators getting paid out. Let's say 3 of those validators are burning. Okay, that's it. It's done. It's all been burnt. It's nothing else happens, right? That's it. Until the next burn, that's it. And I'm not saying, and this is very important for everybody to absorb right now, does this mean burning is bad? Of course it doesn't. It just needs to be utilized correctly, and there's a time and a place for everything. The inflow has to be greater than the outflow or the burning that is being made on chain. So when we do this, the market cap is a measure of the total value of a cryptocurrency. It's calculated by multiplying the current price of each token by the total supply of the tokens in circulation. So in order for burning to be effective, the circumstances must be positive, with direct inflow of demand, dApps, developers, projects, influencers, new users, and holders. So when you actually perform sustained burning without these key elements pouring in, we're just merely at that point just destroying liquidity, and it's not doing anything. It's not going anywhere. And we're not drawing in really any new users. We've just got those same people who want to burn. And like I said, burning's not bad. It just needs to be utilized correctly. And that's why I look at all of these different avenues, and I always look into these things as someone who loves to burn, who's burned $8,000 of his own YouTube revenue. I mean, who does that, right? So when a validator instead chooses not to burn, and let's say he invests his time, his energy, and resources that he gets from this chain into a dApp, and that dApp is built into the chain, or it's a project or an NFT project like LUNC Penguins, like Miata, any of these projects which have built into the backbone of the chain. For the chain to succeed, they must succeed also. For the chain to fail, they will also fail. That's the commitment you take when you build into the chain, and that's the risk a lot of people don't want to take. This is why they develop third-party, for example, DEXs. Once again, not saying DEXs are bad, but the DEX removes this whole loop you're seeing here, which is an infinity loop. For all intent and purposes, it's an infinite feedback if done correctly. So like I was saying, it removes this. Once we have trading happening on a DEX, it's instantly become off-chain. What is a DEX? It's a decentralized exchange. Exactly. We've got plenty of exchanges. The idea is to try to keep the liquidity on-chain and keep it doing things, keep people moving from point A to point B to point C to point D. And as they're going around doing that, they should be earning stuff in the same manner a validator is earning, because this validator should create project liquidity for their users and existing user base, which is always increasing, therefore increasing the liquidity in the project, which increases the output liquidity for the project and the project's utility. And all of that in itself attributes back to the community pool and the Oracle rewards pool. That validator then gets his commission again, and he does the same thing. He keeps building, he keeps bringing in new users, new user base, more project utility. So new users joining a blockchain brings more liquidity, more transactions, which leads to increased trading volume, and it contributes to the on-chain pools. This activity not only fosters a dynamic ecosystem, but also supports the chain's viability through real-world engagement. When you have, for example, if you're looking at 100 validators and 90 of them are doing what our lovely little man here is doing, and the rest of them are doing burning, it would be good. But the inflow is just not there. We do not have the projects. We do not have the dApps. We've got a user base which is consistently leaving and getting disgruntled and moving on. So something to really take into note. And this is why I would say to a lot of people, burning's good from the Oracle rewards pool until you start to understand that it's a bank, right? Would you keep burning $170 billion that you had at the rate that we're doing it and the rate it's depleting without getting something back in, or at least something on top of that so you're not drained? Of course you wouldn't, right? So we need to look at it in the same manner, that we're just simply depleting our chain's lifeline. Once the validators go, the chain can't run. Every transaction that everybody makes is handled by a validator on this chain. So when people get disgruntled with, you're not doing anything for this, a lot of them aren't, but also they are also doing a lot just by providing the resources, the active nodes and stuff like that. Our issue is we just don't have many validators that are building. And for example, if you own a project, you should have a validator. It's your right to spin it up regardless, but you should build your project on top of your validator. Your validator should be the foundation of everything, and you backfeed everything back into that, and you can do so much with IBC connections, and it's a very untapped resource, to say the least. Now, moving forward and looking at exchanges, there's 4.6 trillion LUNC just in the top 8 wallets. Just in the top 8. Try that on for size. In comparison to our 173 billion, because once we've burnt through it all, there's still 4.6 trillion to go. That's off chain. And this is why having the inflow, right? What does it do? Well, it brings point A to point B for new users. If we create this, if we introduce this 4.6 trillion then waddles its way slowly and drip feeds back into the actual supply. People have a reason to do something. The biggest issue is no validators are developing those kind of dApps. So this, like I said, this is all about trying to better understand how you should see people conducting themselves. And like I said, this isn't shots being fired at anybody who's burning. I've got burn projects myself. I burn. Everybody knows that. I'm here to try and educate people and trying to get people to see that, hey, you can spin up a validator. Hey, you can build anything you want and you can get the resources from the chain. And all you've got to do is build real world results. So Binance, it's a big conspiracy theory that Binance burn their hot wallet, but they don't. They burn the trading fees, which is totally different. This is from trading of the coin, right? So this liquidity is actually being generated from different places. Yes, some of it may come from this hot wallet, but not all of it. It's going to be generated different places. If you're sending to the exchange and doing swaps, and it's all contributing. So this is really, really good. But at the same time, we need more of this so we can get access to more of this, because this is very little in comparison to this. So we've got other exchanges. So for example, KuCoin, they're not burning, but they do validate the chain, which is very interesting. It could be harnessed because we've seen these affiliations before. And honestly, at this point, I would quite happily work with the CEX to get them to do these burn affiliations again, like we saw MEXC do, because they burnt through a considerable amount of LUNC in a very short amount of time. If we had kept that affiliation up, if we had kept the link up with them, we probably would have churned through an extra 20, 30 billion LUNC, which is really good. And we don't know if we kept those connections, if we could have kept going back up. It's normally projects, people, influencers, public speakers who get offered these kind of affiliations. And honestly, like I said, at this point, we need everything that we can get. If it's being offered, we should take it, like the free infrastructure we've decided to harness recently. So what I've got here are two, and this is really good to really lay this out for people, as to a validator who builds to burn and a validator who builds for on-chain utility. So what I'm going to do, we're going to look at the bottom one. So the Oracle pool pays out to the validator, and the validator burns all of their commission. Let's say they get new delegates. That's how they're getting their commission. And that delegate then has two choices: restake or staked commission to get sent off of chain. Maybe, just maybe, they decide to buy into some project they may have heard of, right? The avenues are very slim. And this is what I'm getting at. Yes, there could be all sorts of different circumstances, but from my point of view, I'm trying to lay this out as simple as I can. There's not many options. And if we go back up to this, you can sort of see why this is very effective to build like this instead of building like this at this point, right? At this point. So look at the difference between a validator who builds on-chain utility versus a validator who builds to burn. So this validator gets his rewards from the Oracle pool, and he has a DApp. He's also getting new delegates. So those new delegates, they can delegate their LUNC. That LUNC gets locked up from the total supply, locked in the chain, on chain, nice stored liquidity. Obviously, we do get this here as well, but there's a very slim chance of it being restaked. The likelihood is they're just sending it off and just swapping it. But if you look at the avenues you've got here, so the DApp, new user, that new user may find another project, but where they're so in with the project that they've met other people in the community, and those community members have said about another project, and that all then goes to the other project. And then you've got staked commission, once again, can all go to different avenues instead of just simply getting to the point of sending straight off or restaking. You've got these different routes, and the revenue generation doesn't just backfeed for a validator when they build a DApp. Okay, it comes back to the delegates, because if they built good systems, for example, like LUNCpenguins, it only pays out the holders. It doesn't pay anything to us. We don't get nothing from anything, not even from the trading fees. Everything goes back into the project. And if everybody builds like this, you create so more. The opportunities become endless at this point, and it becomes an infinite loop, because like I said, the revenue, everything at this point contributes back to this Oracle rewards pool, where this just doesn't. Nothing gets back to the Oracle pool. No one's building, nothing's getting regenerated, and we're in a consistent downtrend. So for me, these really do simplify. Like I said, I'm going to be putting these on my Patreon. If you want to go and check those out, go and check those out. Links to that in the description. They will be available for you to do whatever you want with, if you want them for motivational support or anything like that. But this is a really good way to just explain to someone what happens if we're all just burning, we're all just sitting on a bag, and it's all just coming from the Oracle rewards pool. It's not going to be a good result at the end of the day. We need more validators that are going to build on-chain DApps that will bring more liquidity, more user base, and more utility, which generates more revenue in total for everybody on-chain, including the Oracle pool, including the community pool, and including you as a delegate. Folks, going to be doing more technical videos like this, really taking deeper dives into things and trying to simplify them. I am in an environment where I'm stuck between two worlds. The world of the everyday investor and the world of the developer. And the developer doesn't understand that the everyday investor is going to be 99% of people who they want to get involved in crypto who are not involved in crypto. The only difference is they're not going to have an absolute Scooby. By the time they get invested, people who weren't so much in the know now are going to seem like absolute gods to them. Kind of similar to how your parents think you're an absolute god sent from the skies above when you simply refreshed the router with an on and an off. Folks, let me know what you think about this. Let me know how your weekends went. Stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and as always, we will catch you in the next one.